Bingoathon is coming up, and it seemed very fun to participate. So it's from the 12th to the 18th of May, and it's run by Cody from Cody's Book Corner, Natasha from My Reading is Odd, and a person I'm not really familiar with, but I'll show her name here. And basically, the idea is that there's they made this bingo chart. You can fill up all the prompts. There are 9 prompts. One is a group book, which I'm not going to read because it's just not something that appeals to me. I think it's like a King Arthur retelling, and retellings are just not really for me. But the other prompts seemed really fun. So what I'm basically going to do is, in that week, I'm just going to read as many of the books as I can. I'm not really going to consider like lines, or I'm just going to try and get through as many of these books as I can. The first prompt is anticipated book, so a book I'm really excited for, and that's one I have also put on my TBR, and just my general TBR for the month, and it's Slade House by David Mitchell. So this is basically kind of like mystery, kind of almost genre fiction-y, but it is David Mitchell, so it's also literary and interesting in that way. It surrounds this mysterious house and sounds good. Then my 5-star prediction. There's basically only one book on my shelves which I really think is going to be a 5-star, and that's Labyrinth by Georges Louis Borg, but I don't really think that that's suitable for a readathon, because like it's a short story collection and the stories really get better upon rereading. So I think it would be kind of a waste to rush through that. So instead I'm going for another book which I think I also really enjoy, and that's Perfume by Patrick Suskind. And there's no reason why this shouldn't be 5 stars. I know I'm going to love the writing style. It's a modern classic, it's really dark, that's everything I love. I'm really particular with giving 5 stars, but this at least is going to be a very high rating, I think. And if anything's going to be a 5-star, except for like Labyrinth, it's probably this one. Well, let's hope it is. And the third one is favorite genre. So my favorite genre is kind of like modern classics, so dark ones, philosophical ones, those kinds are my favorites, but I just really love modern classics. And therefore I've chosen Sartre's Nausea, which is basically an exploration, a fictionalized exploration of his thoughts on existentialism, and surrounds a writer, and I just really love stories about writers as well. So basically gone for a genre of modern classic, which I really enjoy. Fourth one is a book which has either pink or blue or both on the cover. And for this one I've chosen a book that's been on my TBR for a very long time, which I just finally want to get through. It's been there for like 6 years, and I've kind of been putting it off because when I started reading it, when I just bought it, I found it really dense, couldn't really get through it, but I think my English has improved, and recently I just picked it up and I thought like, oh, it's quite accessible, so I'm hoping to just get through this, and maybe, like, it's probably a very interesting story. It's Into the Wild by John Krakauer, so this is a non-fictionalized account of this guy who basically survived in the wilderness in Alaska, and he was found dead a few months later. And so it's basically Krakauer kind of fills in what must have happened in the meantime. Then I have Diverse Reps. I'm just going for the only book that really deals with race, which I really want to read, and it's Why Am I No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Renée Adler-Lodge. She just explains how she got familiar with like problems regarding race, racism, those kind of things, like how she experienced it within Britain, and just how she was initially very unfamiliar with it, then familiar with it, and it just discusses race relations within Britain. I was initially a bit hesitant about reading non-fiction just for pleasure, because I think like, I don't know, I was just afraid I would be putting it off, but then I was in a bookshop and I read the first few pages and I just fell in love with her writing style as well. So I thought like, good writing style, very good information probably. Also, I follow her on Twitter and she's just amazing, so I can't wait to get into this one and educate myself a little. Then I have Cover By, and I have Glyph by Percival Everett. And this is basically a book I just like picked up at this like book fair, and I'm just not really too familiar with everything that's going on, but the cover kind of matched another cover I bought at that. Like, I already had picked up this one, I think. Or, no, I had picked up this one, then I picked up this one, because they were, like, so similar, and both sounded good. But, I mean, the cover stood out to me. I looked into it, and it sounded good, so I picked it up. It's, like, about this genius child who doesn't communicate to anyone, but is still, like, really profoundly philosophical and all those things. It's supposed to be a bit ridiculous, and it's just talks about like deconstruction, those things as well, I think. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but like it just sounds cool, and I'm really curious to see what this is about. It also just has like a really interesting structure. Like it has these kinds of things, which just like sounds like exactly within my interests, because I really love like literary theory, those kinds of things. And then new to me author, all these are new to me authors, so it's like it doesn't really matter, but I just like have chosen The Futurological Congress by Stanislav Lem. This is a sci-fi novel I picked up when I was in London. You know, you have like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and you have those kind of crazy sci-fi novels by Philip K. Dick, those kinds of things. It kind of feels like that. It's about this congress where hallucinogenic drugs are like being put in the water supply or something, and everything just goes wrong. And it just seems like one of those ridiculous, outlandish sci-fi novels. So yeah, seems a lot of fun, and it's really short, so I just like thought it would be very suitable for a readathon as well. And then the last one, very new or very old on your TBR. And I mean, I have like a few more which could go for that, like for example Into the Wild, but this one which also just has been on my TBR for like 5 years or something. I'm on my physical TBR then. I've owned this for a very long time, and it's An Irishman's Difficulties with the Dutch Language by this person, and I just by that person. It's from a Dutch publishing company, but it's written in English, but just plays with Dutch and the English language in kind of a funny pun-related way, I feel, and it might just be a fun, quick novel, which I just haven't gotten to yet. So basically I'm just going to try and get through as many of these novels as I can in this week. I'm not really going to concern myself with like filling up every square or anything, because I'm not going to read the group book anyway. But I think like I'm really excited to get through these. So that was my TBR. Let me know if you're participating as well. I'll link the creators' videos down below. Please make sure to check them out, because they're a lot of fun. Especially Cody. I love her channel so much. Like she has those Wheel of TBR videos, and oh, I'm trash. But yeah, that was my TBR, and I hope you enjoyed this video.